This video is one more about enterprising stories, and this one is about this traffic light. It's also an example of a follow-up story, or what we can also call a process story. Those natural follow-up stories that you can always count on the days after big news has happened. And that's the case with what we're talking about in this video. This video was made exactly 1 week after seven tornadoes touched down in Dallas-Fort Worth. They touched down in northwest Dallas and moved east. So far east that there was damage as far north as Richardson, including right outside Richland College. No damage was done on campus. In fact, the beginning of the end of the storm is marked by this broken stoplight. It sits at one of the college's main entrances. Now, some watching this video are doing so in class. Others are watching this as professional training. And that's important to know because if you aren't a student of mine, you wouldn't know that I teach journalism courses at Richland and always enter campus at this intersection. And this is an intersection both Richland students and faculty know well because it's the main way to most of the buildings on campus. There are two other entrances, and yes, those are of course used. It's just been my observation that this one is the most used because it's the closest to the classroom buildings, the library, and also all of the athletic fields. And those athletic fields are important because that means that more people than just students and faculty drive on this road. We're talking parents of players, friends, and fans. These fields are used all the time. Any student or faculty who has made the unintentional mistake of leaving campus as a game gets out has probably been stuck trying to make a left-hand turn onto this main road to get out. The challenge always is that this road is filled with players exiting and you can't safely merge into the lane, leaving you just sitting there as if you're waiting for a passing freight train. It's all a long way of me illustrating to you that this is a heavily traveled road. This is going to be mission critical as I walk you through the pitch of this story. All right, so let's recap the big news. On Sunday, October 20th, these 7 tornadoes swept through the area. The next day, thousands were still without power across the area. Countless landscaping crews, power company crews, and others could be seen working as fast as possible to clear blown down trees and restore power. Power was restored to Richland College in less than 24 hours, and the downed trees were removed in 36 to 48 hours. This is incredibly fast. Superhuman fast. And that's because crews were probably working either one of two shifts, either 12 hours on, 12 hours off, or rotating 8-hour shifts. Whatever the work schedule, those men and women worked hard. Each one of these is a process story to the storm. Now let's talk about a follow-up story that you might have to work hard to pitch, because I'm of the belief that it would be hard to convince news managers of without a well-researched pitch. The pitch is this broken traffic light at the entrance to Richland College. I had to be on campus for a meeting Tuesday, October 22nd, the first official day campus was open after the emergency closing the day before. The first thing I noticed was obviously the broken light, and then the 3 stop signs that were now posted because the traffic lights were off. I thought to myself, oh man, this is going to be bad because people who travel this road travel it every day and are used to that stoplight being on. That's what we call a habit. That's what we call part of human behavior. The drivers on this road are used to these stoplights telling them what to do. These stop signs, on the other hand, are new, and I bet people will blow through them because they're not looking for them. They're used to looking up at any one of 3 stop lights and seeing if it's red or green. This is what you call learned behavior. When drivers first drove on this road, there were working stoplights. This fact was further reinforced every time they drove on this road and the light communicated to them what to do. There was the expectation that this light would be any one of 3 colors: green, yellow, or red. Therefore, knowing that this light is there becomes automatic, and very automatic for the driving routes that we all take every day. Here's an example. Ever drive home from work and when you get in the parking lot, think to yourself, how'd I get home? I don't remember any of the drive. That's because your mind was preoccupied with something else. Maybe something you were excited about, or perhaps something frustrated with. The point here is that you are so used to driving your route home that you did it automatically. This too is why drivers are blowing this light at a high rate of speed. Because the light isn't even on, they don't realize they're even at the intersection. If you leave at night, like I did some nights, you might have very well have seen what I had. And that is numerous people, one right after the other, blow through these stop signs. Because again, they didn't know to look for them. Also too, the traffic lights were off. If you were at this three-way intersection looking to make a left-hand turn onto Walnut, you did so very carefully. I waited for no cars to be in the area because I had observed so many that kept their constant rate of speed, which was at least 35 miles an hour, if not 45 miles an hour, when speeding through this intersection. And this was something I had thought about all week, because as the week went on, driver behavior was still as bad as when it started. It wasn't getting any better. And knowing what you know now about this intersection, how busy it is and who travels on it, that all amplifies the reality that someone is going to crash. And it might be into someone else. So, the story is, when is the city going to fix this light? Subsequent questions are, how does the city prioritize which lights to fix first? Where on that list is this particular traffic light? Does the city have enough money to fix all the lights? Does the city have enough money to fix this specific light? The adventure of getting those answers is a good daily story that is connected to what happened a week ago. The big story everyone was covering. Now, if you tell your managers everything I told you about this road, they'll probably let you do the story. And that's because I went to extra length to describe to them the importance of this stoplight. I told them the people affected, that lots of people are affected, and those people include more people than just the commuting students and faculty on campus. It involves people affiliated with sports as well. Going back to the 5 motivators that help you figure out if your story is a story, and if it hits one of them, it probably is. This story covers money, health, safety, and community. It covers 4 of them. Now, if someone gets hurt, it might index in family as well. That, unfortunately, is decided by how bad the accident is and if a family is involved. And I know, this is tragic stuff to be talking about. It's unfortunately a part of the job. Going into the 7 elements of a story, this covers timeliness, because the big story was only a week ago and there's still unfixed damage. This story also hits proximity, and it's wide, because those who go to school and work at Richland live all over, so proximity hits more than just the area of Richardson. Impact or consequences also here, because we're talking about health and safety. And there isn't anything more impactful or consequential than those. And of course, conflict, because there might not be money to fix this light. We don't know yet. And conflict too can also be in the form of having to wait a while before the light is repaired, depending upon where it is on the city's list of repair priorities. All these repair questions are ones for the city's Public Works Department. Now, unfortunately, you might work for a manager who says that they don't care until someone gets hurt. It's something I was always frustrated in hearing, because I like to do stories that promoted change that could prevent people from getting hurt. So in response to that manager, I would re-pitch the story today, because 7 days after the storm, after observing everything I had, after knowing this area better than anyone else in my newsroom, after having watched people blow through these stop signs at night, a big accident happened. And here's the ironic part. I was worried about it happening at night because that's when I saw the problem. The big accident happened during the day, on a Saturday during great weather, including clear skies. That news manager would definitely let me do the story now. 1, I have video. I can prove it happened. And 2, it happened when the sun was out, when you have the best chance of seeing these stop signs. And when I went out to get some B-roll for this video, I caught multiple drivers on tape blowing through the stop signs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and look at this, almost 6th, until this driver blew through coming from the opposite direction. Yeah, I know. It's also a good idea to call the Dallas Police Department because they were the ones on scene and get a copy of the police report from the accident. They may require you to send a FOIA, a Freedom of Information Act request, but that's easy to do. Just find a template online, fill it out, and email it to the Public Information Officer or the FOIA officer. Sometimes government wants you to FOIA for even the simplest of things because then there's a paper trail. Some police departments will make you FOIA for something as simple as a mugshot. Also, too, ask police if there have been any other accidents at this intersection since the storm. Again, this is the only one that I saw, but I'm not there 24/7. You can also ask how many there have been in the past year because that way you have a number to compare to. I would imagine the number is probably 0, but that's the point. When the traffic lights are working, the intersection is safe. When they aren't, it's obviously not. And more to that point, when I was driving to class where I was going to debut this video 8 days after the storm, I noticed that a new stoplight had just been installed. Again, that's lightning quick, especially when you take into account all of the other damage in the area. As I was leaving class late that evening, the light still wasn't on, but at least there's one installed. With that, I know this has been a long video, but these are the good stories, the ones that are labeled as community journalism because they fight for change, or what is called advocacy journalism because you as the journalist are advocating on behalf of the viewers who watch you to make something better that everyone should want them to have, and would probably, in fact, want themselves if they were in the same situation. Plus, the way in which I would have pitched this story to my news managers is a way you should pitch all of your stories. When you come off as an expert on a topic and pitch with passion, news managers will more than likely trust your experience and your attitude and therefore let you do the story. News managers will more than likely trust your experience and your attitude and therefore let you do the story. Sometimes you'll have to make the pitch multiple days in a row. Other times, vary it. Sometimes one day this week or maybe even one day the following week and wear them down. It will be the consistency in your pitching that you keep pitching this story that will be why they let you do it. Many news managers will tell you that they respect journalists who pitch with passion, meaning they know who the story affects and can prove by giving examples from their experience that what they're pitching really is a story. That's why your experience and certainty in your pitch will be what convinces them. It'll tell them things and show them things that they didn't know to know. Plus, by doing this story about this individual traffic light, you're advocating for all of the broken traffic lights in the area. Just make sure to write into a VO somewhere in the piece about all of the other broken traffic lights in the area. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.